Considering how he ran the marketing campaign for Superman, one might easily suspect that James Gunn was actively attempting to sabotage the movie. And well, with the release of the first The Lanterns trailer, we need suspect no longer. We now know, yes, he is indeed trying to sabotage stuff. He is doing everything in his power to kill off the DCU before it even gets going, as he has a firm chokehold around its neck, and he doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. And I want to talk about it because, at the end of the day, I will always be a DC fan first when it comes to the whole superhero kerfuffle over here. So, first and foremost, let's point out the obvious. With Superman, James Gunn tried to establish a very old-school take on the hero, and that was what I liked about it. It was, in many ways, quite classic Silver Age Superman, which is what I wanted to see. I want to see Superman, the Boy Scout, the hero again, rather than dark and brooding Superman who's wondering if he should become a dictator or something. I don't want to see that. And indeed, he didn't deliver it. But with this trailer, he now does a complete 180 from his representation of the Green Lanterns. Granted, Guy Gardner, so you know, but this was bright, it was colorful, it was cool, it was comic book oriented, whereas the Lantern trailer is dusty-ass American backroads, as the Green Lanterns, magical intergalactic space police with super-powered mental rings, are going to solve some murders in rural America. Yay. Yay, oh god. And we'll get deeper into this as well, but first and foremost, the color palette. Okay, so this is the thumbnail for the trailer, by the way. Notice anything? Notice that the characters are visible, that it's bright, that it might even make you go, oh my god, it's one of those shows that doesn't have a brown filter over everything. Well, don't worry, that's not actually in the show. They took a picture from the show, illuminated it, and then used that as the thumbnail because even the studio knows this looks like shit. And of course, this is throughout. Brown filter, everything is kind of diffused, darkened down, made less interesting. I mean, why do people do this? Nobody likes it. I'm 98% sure nobody actually enjoys this. Nobody's asking to see less of what's happening on their television. And I particularly love this. So this is a random thumbnail that I found on YouTube about this, right? Here's the Green Lantern suit, and it looks pretty drab, not particularly interesting, but hey, it's just like the suit, right? I'm sure it'll start glowing and stuff once the ring is in full power, so not a problem. Actually, allow me to show you the suit in the trailer. Let's see here, where was it? Ah, there we go. Close, closer, there. That's the suit. You can't see it? It's right there. That pitch black thing in the background there, that's the suit. Somebody just took all of the brightness and opacity and vibrancy sliders in Photoshop and rammed them to 100% to the point where you can actually see the super suit. Oy. Now, I do hope that this is bait. God below, I hope this is engagement bait, and I hope that this, the closed off one, is the actual suit, that he'll reach in, he'll pull it out, and his yuppie young sidekick, Jon Stewart, who isn't much of a yuppie young sidekick really, but anyways, will come up and go like, old man, that looks like shit, and throws it out the window. We can but hope, as there is actually no green lantern action in the trailer. Well, that's not entirely true. I think he flashes the ring at the very end here or something. Yeah, there you go. He throws the dude around a little bit, and then he holds up the ring and is like, I am a Green Lantern. If I can even find the frame doing this. As I would like to show you the trailer, but these days, well, you get copyright claimed for promotional materials, so, you know. And I also love this part here. So there is a part in the end where he's get asked, have you ever interacted with any of the other Green Lanterns? And Hal Jordan says, no, are you crazy? They're all aliens. Hal Jordan is basically the Green Lantern. He's supposed to be out there in space on intergalactic adventures, fighting against Sinestro or something, or the Red Lantern Corps, or some sort of a massive intergalactic threat, not chasing around the rural backroads of America, interacting with the local racist sheriff, I'm sure, who's like, oh, I don't like outsiders, this here is my town, and you're just in it. Oh, yeah. It seems as if it's some sort of murder mystery. And the entire premise of this as well is, of course, and they repeat this throughout the show, and this is probably also one of the reasons why his suit is so unbelievably dark and boring looking, that Hal Jordan is just, he's old, he's over the hump, he's useless now, and he's being just shunted out of the way for the young new replacement, who's also 31, by the way, and in the show, goddamn near looks 40. Let's see. There was a beautiful frame of him in here somewhere. Ah, yes. The racist small town. Ah, there we go. There we go. This is the young yuppie replacement, coming up to take over the role of Green Lantern. Doesn't he just look young? Doesn't he just look yuppie? And to be fair, it's Jon Stewart, you know, the anal Green Lantern, so that makes sense, but why even have this as a storyline? You're trying to rebuild the DC universe. You're attempting to get people fascinated, interested, and hyped up again, and you tried that with Superman and flopped immediately and massively because you didn't actually make a Superman movie. You made something that kind of felt like it was supposed to be a Justice League movie, but then you remembered, oh right, we tried this already. DC already attempted this by making like one movie and then right into the Justice League, and that was a massive disappointment to everyone involved. So how about we do that again, but this time we don't even do the first movie? Brilliant. Absolutely genius. Absolutely fantastic, in fact. But at least these guys looked like superheroes, and I understand as well that the idea was that they were supposed to be overly commercialized and not real heroes and plasticky and all kinds of stuff like that, but listen, that's what superheroes are supposed to look like. They are larger-than-life entities. They're supposed to be bright. They're supposed to be colorful. They are intended to be superheroes, not cops, not whatever nonsense this is becoming. And as well, to have your idea, I can hardly formulate the thought, but your idea here is a brand new, young, innovated DC universe, and you choose to start one of your first stories with an old Hal Jordan getting replaced. And whilst he is training up his replacement, who is complaining that they've been training for 2 months and he hasn't even let him touch the ring yet, this isn't a superhero show. You're not making a superhero story here. And if you're not gonna make... Part of me feels like James Gunn watched Andor and thought, okay, well that was Star Wars that wasn't Star Wars. So what if I make a superhero show that isn't superheroes? The worst part is, you could even have characters that do that. If you want like a very low-powered kind of setting, there is actually a huge swath of DC comic book characters that are on a much lesser power level than the Green Mother-humping Lantern. This is like putting Superman in charge of solving a robbery, for fuck's sake. And you could even have cameos of the main cast if you wanted, but this seems to be the idea of trying to establish these characters, but establish them for what? To continue to be cops in America somewhere? The closest we come to any kind of an intergalactic adventure is, I believe at one point, he actually flies off with the ring. So we've been demonstrated that he can fly, and he doesn't even suit up to do so. Here are the enemies. Thugs, random gangsters, dudes firing bullets at them, and a couple of explosions, which I hope is from a supervillain. God help me. I hope that the Red Lantern Corps is just hovering right off frame or something, and eventually the little sheriff will run up to him and go like, wow, we are in deep shit. Maybe we could use some of that magic ring of yours. At which point I'm sure that Hal Jordan will go, oh, well, funny story. I misplaced my battery, you see, and I can't find it anymore because I gave up the ring because I was training a young and promising rookie, and I decided to train him not by, using his mind or utilizing the incredible power of the Green Lantern ring or anything like that. I decided instead to roll out of a car and throw him off a cliff. I figured I would make him improvise. Okay, this is actually why I am becoming more and more in favor of the Paramount merger, because at the very least Paramount is the devil we don't know. Hopefully Paramount will come in here with a pump-action shotgun, and can't say that on YouTube, but James Gunn will not be a problem anymore. And all scripts, manuscripts, costumes, whatever, will simply be loaded onto a rocket and fired off into the sun, after which they will approach the old animation department, the ones that made Justice League Unlimited, The War of the Worlds, all of that stuff, and go, listen, you actually had good superhero stories. And they were. The old animated shows, they pretty much always had good superhero stories, but they were held back by the fact that, weirdly enough, nobody really takes superhero cartoons seriously. We love the live action stuff, but we don't think that the cartoons can be good. And they are. In fact, they were a hell of a lot better than pretty much anything we've received in live action, but the stigma against the cartoon remains. Take those people, make those stories, and make them live action instead. I mean, with the kind of production budget that modern-day superhero movies have anyways, it's not like you can make the excuse of, oh, well, they were cartoons. They were far easier to produce, I guarantee you. With the average script of one of their cartoons, you could probably make a movie out of it that would cost less than what you're currently doing. And hey, you might even run the risk of having one of the characters be recognizable right out of the gate, as... Even if you look at this, if I didn't tell you that this was a show about Green Lanterns, would any of these stills, except passively for the suit, although even then, even if I showed you the suit, would you assume it's the Green Lanterns or some sort of fetish TV show where they happen to have a latex bondage gear outfit styled after the Green Lanterns? There's no superpowers, there's no action here, there's random destruction of property, there's gangsters, there's talking, there's men in cowboy hats. This looks like an episode of The Landman, more so than anything that belongs in the actual DC franchise. Oh god, I accidentally played a few seconds of the trailer. Oh well. There goes. There goes the monetization. You gotta stop being so afraid of making superheroes look like superheroes, okay? We're not in the early 2000s anymore. Nobody's going to cringe at the overly bright and colourful costumes. In fact, that's what we want. That is what everyone desires. There is nobody out there still that is like, God, I want some more grim, dark superhero action. No, everybody wants the superheroes again. The actual superheroes. A point I have repeated ad infinitum, and I genuinely do believe that Superman as well would have been a significantly greater success, guaranteeably so, if it hadn't been for James Gunn's style of marketing of it. It already fell just a little bit short of a Man of Steel, and honestly, had James Gunn simply been placed in a chair and tied up securely, I am 100% sure it would have done better, and by a significant margin as well, as despite all of its errors and flaws, and there were many errors and flaws, it was at the very least a Superman movie, whereas this, there's very little evidence of it actually being a Green Lantern show. With, of course, the caveat that maybe the television series itself will actually have them suiting up, but you know how this goes. They'll spend an entire season with then 5 whole minutes of actual Green Lantern action at the very end, when Hal Jordan finally remembers where exactly he stuffed his battery this time around. Paramount, I know I have no right to ask this, and I know that you're probably not the right recipient for this prayer either, but Please, just make superhero shows again. Please?